something unusual and crazy here. Oh, and we see the move.
That's right.
Yeah.
So white has pushed a pawn forward in front of his queen, just 2 squares. The opening in chess is all about taking the center, so often you want to occupy the center with pawns, and you bring your pieces behind. Both sides, lots of early moves here, lots of action. This is called the Queen's Gambit opening, the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, and the bishop has come out to this most aggressive square where it's pinning that knight on the left-hand side of the board to the king. Oh, and we see a series of trades there, David.
That's right, so a couple of pawns have left the board, some pawns have been swapped off. We see on the board there, bottom right-hand corner of the screen, the green arrow signifies the last move being played. So white's last move was to develop his bishop, to bring his bishop out towards the center. And there we see what black's knight has jumped into the center of the board.
Wow.
This is a lot of action already. I've never seen either of these players in this position before.
Wow.
Some new stuff. Definitely looks like they've been doing their homework, doing their preparation.
Yeah, Anish Giri really putting the early pressure on Magnus Carlsen, because that knight is attacking white's knight, and gosh, things are a little bit unpleasant at the minute. Magnus has to play quite accurately now to hold the balance.
That's right. Sorry, Kaya. We see him taking a sip of water, just composing himself, and finally making a move. He brings his rook towards the center. The move's coming thick and fast. We hear the last moves being played by that little ping. Yes, black has brought his knight out, and white has just pushed a pawn. I think both sides will be thinking about how to get their king safe. That's often what the early stages of the game revolves around. Both sides want to push their king towards one of the corners, one of the sides of the board. Do you go left? Do you go right? We also should mention the bar, Kaya.
Yes.
Just below the players' screen, we see a green bar. Sometimes it will slide either way.
Slightly, yes, we can see it. Yeah, we can see it moving here. But gosh, David, there is so much action on the board, because I can't believe my eyes. I am seeing Anish Giri right from the word go. He has put pressure on world champion Magnus Carlsen, and gosh, goodness me, he has advanced his pawns on the right-hand side of the board, and that is a very, very aggressive thing to do, because normally you're focusing on king safety, and here instead we're seeing a completely different approach from Anish Giri.
That's right, so maybe if we can bring up the analysis board to show why.
refer back to your little expression, teamwork makes the dream work. And you can see Magnus is using his king, his knight and his rook, and all with the goal of helping that pawn start advancing. Oh, what has happened there?
We see both kings advancing, and now White has actually sacrificed a pawn. Anish has captured a pawn, so White has sacrificed a pawn, but the rooks have left the board. We talked about that passed pawn, it's disappeared, but Magnus Carlsen thought, okay, once the rooks are off the board, you no longer have enough pieces left to win this game. We see Black has a 3 versus 2 pawn advantage on the left-hand side there, but unfortunately, none of the pawns are passed, none of them are ever going to get down to the bottom of the board. Yeah, that's the only way Black can win, is getting one of his pawns to the end and making you queen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it won't get there.
I think Magnus decided he'd be very lucky for the day, and so he thought, okay, fine, let me just force the position into a very equal one where Black really can't make any progress whatsoever.
Yeah, Black's problem is the bishops. When you just have one bishop alone, the bishop here, it controls the light-coloured squares. That bishop, it looks great, but unfortunately you need to cover the dark-coloured squares as well to advance your pawns. You need to be able to cover both. So White therefore blockades on the dark squares, meaning that the Black bishop can never break the blockade.
And you see the two players just shuffling their king and their knight's pawn.
And it has ended in a draw, this first game in the quarterfinals between Magnus Carlsen and Anish Giri. Both players still sitting in their chairs looking at the computer. Who's feeling the best right now, Ivanka?
Well, it must be Magnus.
Yeah.
When both of them put the engines on, because engines are a great training partner. So that both of them will put the engines on.